I actually think it would be a mistake to have a Department of Climate Change.
Me too.
A grave mistake.
I wouldn't want to work there.
And part of the reason is, I think, and you look at the polling and how people respond to the issue of climate change, it turns out the majority of Americans actually think this is a problem and care about it, but how they rank it on their hierarchy of concerns is, sixth below the economy and health and so on and so forth. But the reality is that climate change is not a little silo issue where you're imagining parts per million in the atmosphere or polar bears on thin ice or even the impacts you might be seeing in the city of Miami if you live in Miami. It's a threat multiplier for all of the core issues we care about. It threatens our economy, it's trillions of dollars, it threatens our national security, it certainly is already threatening our health. And so I think the way that people can come into the door of caring about this problem, there should be multiple doors, I guess, is what I believe, and multiple ways to address both the impacts and really also to address the sources of the problem. When we talk about mitigating the emissions from climate change, that's where I think it breaks down a little bit, right? Because we come back to this sort of core source of the problem, which is that we're emitting too much carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. And if you're coming at it from a perspective of let's manage the risk to the city of Miami, you might not end up in the place where you work on that emissions problem. You might just stay at the level where you're working on how you think about zoning and how you think about real estate and how you think about infrastructure. But that might be okay, actually, because this transition to a new energy future, I think, can be pushed by other factors as well, and there's going to be other constituents that are pushing on it from that direction. And I think with India and China's leadership, yes, it's unfortunate for the US to lose this position, but you're actually seeing that. You're seeing the air emissions in cities like Beijing and Delhi really driving emissions reductions, and China, peaking its emissions a decade earlier than was expected. India, the biggest coal company in India just announced that it's closing down 37 coal mines. And part of the driver of that is economic. Part of the driver is about public health, right? It's about these different avenues in. And I will say, just because this is such a dire conversation, that there's something really encouraging about that as well, because the US path to development is not open to the rest of the world anymore if we want to solve this problem. But the Indian path to development might be, for example. So how are they going to electrify rural communities that are poor? And they're showing, hopefully, fingers crossed this is real, and there's there behind the Prime Minister's statements, but they're showing a potential path for that of energy transition and so forth. But I think of it as an issue to deal with over the course of many generations with many sub-problems that we have to deal with now.